if you recognize that nature is not this delicate nurturer that's stable, sufficient, and safe, but it's actually this wild potential that's dynamic, deficient, and dangerous. And then if you look at fossil fuels from that perspective and you look at the full context, so you weigh carefully their benefits and their side effects, the benefits are just totally overwhelming. And in Moral Case, I sort of got at that, but in Fossil Future just totally nails down, hey, here's the framework that I think about it, which most people will agree with if it's explained, but it's totally different than the framework of what I call our designated experts. And then I just show comprehensively all the relevant facts, all the benefits, all the side effects of concern, and it's just crazy how amazing fossil fuels are. And maybe the most shocking one is in climate, because fossil fuels are amazing climate-wise. It's not just, oh, they're bad, but they're offsetting things. That would be true if they were bad. But no, they allow us to master the climate to such a degree that climate-related disaster deaths are down 98% over the last century. So we've taken a naturally dangerous climate and made it unnaturally safe through some of the things you mentioned, like fossil fueled heating, fossil fueled cooling, but also fossil fueled infrastructure building, fossil fueled irrigation, fossil fueled drought relief ships. All these kinds of things have made our climate safe, and there is no conceivable climate impact going forward that could overwhelm those mastery abilities, let alone all the other benefits of fossil fuels.
I mean, I'm just trying to think of the contrast. And I just think of the city of Dubai, that a generation ago was nothing. No one heard of it. There was no reason to. It was a village, and now it's gleaming skyscrapers in a very difficult climate, a very difficult place. They literally built islands upon which luxury homes exist. That whole concept, the building, let alone mastering the climate to build Dubai, impossible without fossil fuels. Impossible.
Singapore is another great example. Just this world-leading place in a climate that you just think, no, who would live there? But because they had a pretty pro-freedom economic climate in many ways, and because they're mastering climate, it's just this amazing place that many of us would love to visit.
Well, take me through some of the themes of Fossil Future, maybe even some of the chapter headings, so people can understand what's in the book.
Sure. So maybe the best way to think of it is it has 4 basic parts, and it's very simple. So it's framework, benefits, climate side effects, and basically the path forward. Those are the 4 basic sections. And so framework is stepping back and saying, before we enter this issue and decide what to do about fossil fuels, which is the most consequential question just about of our time, we have to think about how are we going to think about this. And this includes what method are we going to use and what are our underlying assumptions and values. And I indicated before, the method should be considering the full context, weighing benefits and side effects, with the recognition that Earth is not a delicate nurture. It's this wild potential that we need to impact hugely, and that our goal should be advancing human flourishing on Earth, not eliminating human impact on Earth. And I showed that all of our experts and what I call our knowledge system, which is supposedly giving us expert knowledge, is a total failure in theory and in practice, because it's only looking at the side effects and it's not looking at things from a human flourishing perspective, and it's assuming that nature is this imaginary delicate nurture that our impact ruins. And really, once you have the framework down, the good one and the bad one, it's pretty straightforward. Then benefits goes, and what it shows is that contrary to the idea that fossil fuels threaten to make our world unlivable through climate change, and so the side effects must be much worse, actually fossil fuels make the planet a livable place in the first place, and they are not replaceable in the near future, which means that all this talk of a livable planet, that concern shouldn't be attributed to climate change. It should be attributed to losing fossil fuels. And then with climate, what I show, the side effects is there's a range of warming that you might plausibly expect, but nothing in that range can remotely overwhelm even the climate mastery benefits of fossil fuels, not the other, let alone the other benefits. And maybe the perfect example of this that we're seeing right now is food. And I have a video on Twitter right now where I warned the Senate 6 years ago about, hey, if you do these policies and if Europe does these policies, we're going to have a crisis and food prices are going to skyrocket, including because of fertilizer that's derived from natural gas, along with the rest of agriculture runs on fossil fuels. And our leaders have not told us this. What they've done is they've just focused on the side effects of fossil fuels. So I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Michael Mann, the climate scientist and activist. But what I point out is not just his hockey stick thing, but what's going on with him is he talks about agriculture, but he totally evades the benefits of fossil fuels, and he acts like it's just negative, even though fossil fuels, as I say, are the food of food. They feed the world. And so with people like Michael Mann distorting our thinking, we're going to make terrible policy decisions. And what Fossil Future does is it gives you a total re-education about energy in incredible detail from a human flourishing perspective. So if you expect to disagree with me, you're pretty likely to be somewhat convinced. And if you agree with me, you've got just an unbelievable buffet of clarity and ammunition to use to persuade others.
You know, I was reading some Twitter post by a lobbyist named Rick Anderson, who said, I got a Tesla. I don't care about these high gas prices. Well, okay. Every single thing he buys, every food item he buys is in a grocery store. Every thing. I mean, there is nothing that we don't buy, from apparel to, Walmart, that is not on a truck, that did not come from a truck. And if it grew in a field, I don't think we have a lot of horse-drawn, plows these days. Everything is oil and gas. And for this lobbyist to laugh, gas prices don't affect me, they affect everything, brother. And
the natural gas prices and the coal prices affect, particularly if you're talking about solar and wind. First of all, China's making them using coal, so coal prices affect them. But also, natural gas is the only thing that's used widely, or I should say the most effective thing that's used widely, to provide 24/7 life support to unreliable solar and wind, which can go to near zero at any moment. So if what's happening is you're protected from immediate price shocks, because of regulations and that kind of thing, but those feed into your prices. And so I've shown, for example, with Texas, when their natural gas prices skyrocket and when they have these shortages, it costs the equivalent of $450 to $900 to charge your Tesla. So this idea that anti-fossil fuels doesn't hurt you if you drive a Tesla, which is a fossil-fueled car fundamentally still, which, by the way, Elon Musk blocked me for Twitter for having a very popular article saying the Tesla S was a great fossil fuel car. If you don't understand that, then you're not going to understand anything. And of course, all the points you said are true as well.
Well, in California, especially, where about half the energy comes from coal, your Tesla may not burn fossil fuels, but it plugs into a
Well, not here. Here it's not, although we have, interestingly, Los Angeles is very coal powered. They don't know this. So California itself doesn't have much coal, but Los Angeles gets its power a lot from Utah, interestingly, which has a lot of good coal. So we have this interesting thing where we're trying to parasite off the rest of the country, so we can pretend that we're going to use the unreliable electricity and we're just going to import it. But everyone is trying to play that game right now, which is why we have regulators warning of mass blackouts around the country this summer, because you can't just everyone can't be a parasite on everyone else.
That was an excerpt from my daily TV-style show called The Ezra Levant Show. Each weekday, I do a monologue on the news of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest. I read some fan mail or hate mail, depends on which I like more. And we end with a video of the day. You can get it all at rebelnewsplus.com.